Some people dream of riding the zombie apocalypse out inside of a grocery store. So naturally, Costco would sound like paradise. It has food stacked to the ceiling, clean water by the pallet, tools, medicine, even generators. It's everything a survivor could want, until you realize it's also everything everyone else wants too. So today, we're gonna find out if you can actually survive a zombie apocalypse inside of a Costco. But before we jump into it, I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Today, we're dealing with classic walkers. And as for how you ended up here, you were already inside when the outbreak kicked off. Maybe you were shopping, working the till, or simply in the area. Either way, it doesn't matter now, because the doors are shut and you need to make the best of things with what's around you. Let's kick things off with one of the most obvious pros. Costco is basically a doomsday buffet, and you've got access to everything in bulk. Canned food, rice, beans, freeze-dried snacks, jerky, nuts, and even pet food if things get desperate. Most of it is shelf-stable, and the sheer volume could feed a small group for a few years. Freezers would hold perishables until the power goes out, but even then, many foods would still last long enough to smoke, salt, or dry if you prepare early. With a supply like this, you won't have to risk going out looting anytime soon. Most Costcos also sell bottled water by the pallet. That's thousands of liters ready to go, which is more than most urban survivors could dream of. You could also grab sports drinks, juice, and soda for calories and electrolytes. Even after that runs out, there are massive plastic containers and trash bins that could store collected rainwater on the roof. Costco's layout is also a fortress in disguise. The concrete walls, few windows, steel doors, and limited entrances make it highly defensible. The roll-down metal shutters and loading dock gates can be reinforced easily, and the roof is flat and wide enough to serve as a lookout post or even a small garden later. You'll also have access to a ton of tools, everything from hunting knives to axes, crowbars, and even baseball bats. Even the hardware and sporting goods section are filled with potential weapons and repair tools. You might even find crossbows or machetes depending on the region. Costco's also usually have a pharmacy stocked with first aid, painkillers, vitamins, and disinfectants, and all kinds of prescription drugs. Plus, the cleaning aisle is packed with bleach, soap, gloves, and sanitation supplies just in case you need to clean up zombie brains. Those alone could prevent disease outbreaks among your group. Costco even sells toilet paper in biblical quantities, so you won't have a repeat of the toilet paper apocalypse. As for power and lighting, Costco has generators, flashlights, batteries, solar panels, and camping gear. Even after the main power grid collapses, you could keep minimal electricity for lights and refrigerators for a while. It's one of the few big box stores where renewable energy is sometimes in stock, so you can divide the warehouse into zones for sleeping, food storage, sanitation, defense, and recreation. And the wide aisles will give you early warning of approaching threats in case of a breach. Another cool thing is that Costco sells bulk clothing, jackets, gloves, boots, and outdoor gear that's valuable for insulation, weatherproofing, or using extra fabric for bandages and cleaning. You could also rotate clothing through seasons, instead of wearing the same pair of jeans until they disintegrate. You'll also have access to a ton of building materials. The store's hardware section will have tarps, rope, duct tape, plywood, nails, and industrial shelving that can be repurposed into barricades, watchtowers, or sleeping platforms. You can create a semi-permanent stronghold instead of living in temporary chaos like most survivors. You'll also have access to forklifts and pallet jacks here, so it'll be easy for you to reinforce the doors or flat out block them. And let's not forget, most Costcos have gas stations on the same property. Even a few jerry cans could power vehicles, generators, or makeshift torches early on. And while most people think of Costco for food and bulk goods, the furniture section becomes priceless once you're living there. You'll find mattresses, couches, futons, and even adjustable bed frames that can be moved into quiet corners for a good sleeping setup. And if you're in here with other survivors, which you more than likely would be, the vast space and abundant resources can actually foster positive group dynamics, if handled right. With plenty of supplies to go around initially, there's less immediate pressure on rationing, allowing time to establish a fair system. You could elect leaders based on skills, maybe former managers for organization, or a military vet for defense, and assign roles like guards, cooks, medics, or scouts. The store's layout supports this, with zones for meeting or recreation to build team cohesion. Another bonus is that Costco offers ways to maintain overall health that go a long way in survival. Vitamins and supplements can prevent nutritional deficiencies from a diet heavy on canned goods, especially once fresh produce spoil. The massive space also allows for exercise routines. Folks can jog down aisles and use fitness gear from the sports section like weights or yoga mats to combat sedentary life and keep everyone physically fit. Although long term, this might not be a good idea. Once calories run short, you'll want to be wise with how you burn your calories. Funny enough, too much exercise exercise and not enough food can lead to an early demise. So rule number 1, being cardio, might not actually apply long term. Another one of the bigger upsides here is the potential for DIY sustainability projects that could extend your stay. Using seeds from gardening sections or product aisles, you could start rooftop gardens for fresh veggies or set up hydroponic systems with LED grow lights powered by solar panels. Composting waste from scraps and human sources with bins and soil from the store create fertilizers to boost yields. These setups can flip finite resources into renewable ones, making Costco a viable long-term base with some elbow grease and planning. The less you have to risk exposure going outside looting, the better for you long-term. Another huge positive is the psychological comfort. Being surrounded by abundance will provide a mental buffer in the early days. You won't be scrounging through trash or rationing crumbs. You'll be sleeping under high ceilings with pallets stacked like treasure chests. That sense of security can keep morale up during the initial outbreak. Alright guys, things sound pretty damn good so far, so let's reel it back in a little bit and look at the cons. Most Costcos are located in or near major urban areas. That means dense zombie populations. Looters and desperate survivors will swarm the area. Even if you get inside first or were inside when the virus hit, you'll attract attention from people who see it as a goldmine. You might have the supplies, but they'll have the numbers. Every survivor group in town will look at it like a jackpot. So expect raiders, scavengers, and civilians begging for entry. You'll be faced with moral choices. Either turn them away and risk retaliation, or let them in and strain your supplies. Either way, what you have is a magnet for conflict. Another major issue is that zombie threats could be lurking inside from the start. What if infected shoppers or employees turned inside during the outbreak? You need to clear the store immediately. There could be hidden zombies in stock rooms, bathrooms, or behind pallets that could ambush you. And if zombies potentially being inside wasn't bad enough, another problem is without strong leadership, group dynamics can spiral into chaos. A Costco size might house dozens, but conflict over rationing food, assigning chores, or making decisions could erupt quickly, especially if supplies start to dwindle. It risks turning into a Lord of Flies scenario, with bulk snacks as the prize, where cliques form, paranoia grows, and minor disputes escalate into violence. Electing leaders sounds good in theory, but power struggles or incompetent choices might doom the whole group. And to make matters worse, generators burn through fuel fast, especially if you're trying to keep the lights on and the cold storage running. Now let's say you couldn't get fuel, or simply ran out over a long period of time. That means the power dies, and then the interior goes pitch black. Costco's typically have minimal or no exterior windows. Without natural light, you'll lose all sense of day and night. That disrupts sleep cycles, causes fatigue, and can wreck morale. Survivors might start sleeping at odd hours, or become paranoid about sounds in the dark. And if that wasn't bad enough, thousands of pounds of food and meat will rot once the freezers lose power. Even sealed areas will start to stink within days. You'll need to isolate spoiled sections or manually clear them, which is risky if you sectioned off areas that still had zombies roaming in them. And without proper plumbing, toilets will fill up pretty damn quick. And even with all the toilet paper you have in here, you'll eventually face a major sanitation problem. Human waste has to go somewhere. Unless you build a dedicated latrine area with chemical cleaners or compost bins, the smell and contamination risk will skyrocket, and rats, insects, and disease will follow. The mice will chew through food packaging, and rats can spread disease. Without keeping on top of pests, you'll be living in a bacterial nightmare within weeks. And without power, it'll be even harder dealing with them since you can't see anything. And ironically, being surrounded by food and goods you can't fully use, like electronics or luxury goods, can start to play tricks on the mind. It can remind you of a world that's gone. The consumerism, the comfort, and the contrast amplifies grief. That too much but never enough effect will weigh on you the longer you stay here. So what might have been a good thing in the beginning is now turning against you. Another problem is that Costco's are vast, echoing spaces. When the lights go out, it's just cold concrete and darkness. That sense of emptiness can feel suffocating, and if you're alone, that silence will become psychological torture. If you're with others, cabin fever can still set in. People will start pacing the aisles like zombies themselves. And although there's a ton of water bottles here, it's still finite. Depending on your group size, that supply can go even faster. And once it's gone, you're relying on rainwater. You're also at risk of fires here. One can start from cooking inside, from the generator, or an electrical spark. If that happens, you're trapped in a warehouse filled with flammable packaging, chemicals, and no ventilation. The smoke alone could kill you before the flames reach your aisle. Large enclosed spaces are deadly in that sense. Alright, now it's time to answer the question you came here for. Can you survive a zombie apocalypse inside of a Costco? Short term, I'm going to rate it a 4 out of 5. Costco is a top tier early shelter because you start with food, water, meds, tools, furniture, and materials to secure the building with. You could almost make an argument for 5 out of 5 stars, but what drops it to 4 out of 5 is the human factor. Everyone in the city knows this building exists, and everybody knows what's inside. So you should expect survivors, raiders, and desperate families to show up during the early days. Fortunately, Costco actually gives you what you need to deal with that. You can park vehicles in front of the loading bays if you're confident enough to go outside, and you can use forklifts to drop bulk items in front of weak spots and doors. You also have the construction materials and tools to board everything up, so if you lock it down fast with your group, you can hold it against the early waves. Long-term survival, I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 stars, which I feel is pretty generous. Being in a dense urban zone means stragglers, raiders, and scavenger groups will keep circling back as long as they think you have supplies. But Costco's strengths allow you to keep fighting everybody off for a while. You have the materials to keep reinforcing the defenses, and sustainability projects like hydroponics buy you more time, while solar gives you a bit of power if fuel runs dry. However, decay will catch up eventually. Sanitation will break down. Still air, pest buildup, and finite water are a ticking time bomb. So sooner or later, you will have to go outside and expose yourself and face the music.